It's time, ladies and gents, about to spit about some film reels. Copping the field to seal the deal of what the films reveal. Batman, Superman, even Spider-Man compare to fare against each other, tearing apart the plots that they prepare. But these are just a few examples for the task at hand. On demand with cinematic contraband to shock the fans. To preach the theme titled Film Eat Film. Tis the keen regime for cinema guillotines to rock my rhyme kiln.
Greetings to you, the lucky finder of this movie debate podcast. In your wildest dreams, you could not imagine that such things would happen to you. Each combatant enters with a specific movie topic, each choosing one film per topic. The debate commences once the judge decrees the topic is open. The winner of Film Eat Film will be determined by total number of points won. There are 3 points total. 2 films will enter, 1 film will leave. This is Film Eat Film.
Woo! Oh my god, start taking your shirt off.
What's up, everybody? I am not Ben James and the Giant Peach Siski. I am Scott Icebox Neby, switching from fact checker to host. 2 combatants today. Damon, Big DZ Gumbert, wearing a white tee, Ice Cube's a pimp.
With a blimp, dude.
With a blimp. And the man with the purple shorts, Taylor Ruffalo Wheeler.
Ruffalo.
All right, we got a great one for you today, including Meryl Streep in Iron Lady versus Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side for Worst Actress to win an Oscar.
Hey.
Best Horror Remake, Evil Dead versus Rob Zombie's Halloween. And the most overrated Pixar film in honor of our Not Another Top 10 show, Most Overrated Films, and Finding Dory being released this week, which is Toy Story 2 versus Inside Out. We flipped the coin already, and Taylor lost. So he has to go first. The topic we are going with first is Worst Actress to win an Oscar. And then it'll go to Damon for his film/actress, and then the rebuttals, okay? All right, so you'll have 3.5 minutes to argue. Are you ready?
Maybe.
I was gonna say,
All right, Taylor, you got 3.5 minutes.
what do you expect me to answer?
And begin.
Alright, so Iron Lady, Meryl Streep won Best Actress for this in 2012. It's really a bad movie, and she doesn't deserve to win for it. More didn't deserve it than what Sandra Bullock deserved for Blind Side, whatever. But the problem with this is she essentially only won because there was barely any competition that year. The Oscars were kind of junky that year. And even so, she still beat out like people like Viola Davis for The Help, but just kind of a bunch of like kind of nobodies with Rooney Mara, Michelle Williams, and Glenn Close doing like really low key movies that they got nominated for. So they just kind of handed her the Oscar because she's older, and they're like, you need another Oscar because we have to. Really, it's a movie that's extremely boring. You watch it, it doesn't take any form of side on there, so it's just a neutral movie, and that's essentially what everything has come to with this movie. It's just purely neutral, and it's even the people on IMDb it's a 6.4, on Metacritic it's a 54, on Rotten Tomatoes it's a 51% rotten. It's really just a neutral movie. It's 50% all of this. It's kind of just junk. It's the same movie that beat out the Harry Potters for makeup for no apparent reason. It's just kind of blah overall. I've tried watching it a few different occasions, but it's just so slowly paced that each corner you take on it, which the corners, it's really just a straight road that has no ups and downs. It's just, here's Margaret Thatcher. She talks. Movie over. And I've tried to struggle through this movie, and it's just so ridiculously boring, and I don't, like, it's a hard thing to even care about, where at least, like, The Blind Side, you can connect with, like, football and stuff like that. So that's why my movie's essentially just so much worse, is because there's nothing really to connect with. It's just slow-paced, like I said, boring, everything along those lines. Even, like, the side cast on this is just utterly lackluster. There's a couple people, like Jim Broadbent or Ian Glenn, which 95% of the people out there will not recognize those names because they're really lesser actors as far as, like, main people go. But as far as, like, the movie overall goes, and like Meryl Streep in that, she gave a performance sure, she sort of portrayed Margaret Thatcher in a way, but it's just that it was just so boring overall that there's no way she should have won an Oscar for this, because sure, she portrayed the person, but there was nothing actually that made her stand out from a crowd. It was just she's another person doing the same thing over and over again, talking, doing the same actor thing that any actress does, essentially. So there's no, like, there's really not a much emotion from her or anything like that throughout it. It's just really overall lackluster. So
Good stuff. Almost 3.5 minutes. Great work. I do not want to see the movie after that one. Damon,
Hello.
you're gonna have to convince me that Sandra Bullock is bad,
Shouldn't be too hard.
and it's The Blind Side. All right. So you got 3.5 minutes, and begin.
All right. So The Blind Side, the Michael Oher movie. This movie is terrible in my opinion. Also, it's terrible in most people's opinion. Metacritic actually gave it a 53, which, if you remember, is one lower than the Iron Lady over here. There's just nothing really good. The acting is bad. I mean, in comparison to what Tim McGraw was putting up in that movie, sure, Sandra Bullock did a good job, but in comparison to Tim McGraw, anyone could do a good job. It doesn't take that much. The kids in the movie weren't good. They had actual coaches play actor or like act as themselves in the movie, which doesn't help at all. Just nothing in the movie is good. Sandra Bullock was mediocre. I think she got the Oscar because the movie is like a feel-good movie. The same reason why what was that other movie she was in with Tom Hanks, I think. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close got nominated for an Oscar, which I don't know why. And then there's the whole race issue, which I have to bring up. Being that it's me, the fact that there's this white family who has to go and save this young black man from himself and from, falling into the perils of being black. It's just an atrocious movie, atrocious acting, atrocious directing, atrocious. Sandra Bullock has been in better movies than this and better acting than this. I don't think she's ever deserved an Oscar, but she's done better than this piece of shit movie. And Meryl Streep always deserves an Oscar. You shut your mouth right now.
Ooh.
She is fantastic. 1,000 times better than Sandra Bullock will ever be. And that's all I've got.
All right. A little bit short, but I won't hold it too much against you.
I got to the point quick.
Okay. Quick to the point, but now Ruffalo Wheeler over here is going to rip you a new one. You have 2 minutes, Taylor, and begin.
Okay, based on the movies going through it, Bullock did put in a much better job than what Streep did for this. Essentially, Streep, like I said before, it's boring, it's flat. It's not there really from her. Sandra Bullock at least showed emotion, like you talk about the race thing, like in the actual performances. At least Sandra Bullock was showing something. Meryl Streep, names are hard. She actually showed nothing. It was essentially just, hey, I'm playing biopic person of the week. Oscars, give me something, because the Oscars are obviously going to go for that. They always go for that. Somebody's playing a biopic, they're getting nominated, almost guaranteed. So that's what she is, especially if it's like a politician of some sort. So it was just simple, hey, I want an Oscar. And because super lackluster crowd that year, of course they're going to they're going to shove it over to her because there's nobody else to give it to. But performance-wise, Bullock gives 1,000 times better performance than what Streep does in this. Yes, Streep is a very good actress overall, but she's bad in this movie. Like, it's not worth it in this movie to see her just wander around and do more or less nothing. Like, she wanders around in her flat, and you sit there like, okay, well, you're walking. Great, you got an Oscar for walking. That's what you got. It's not anything like I said before, it's not anything special. It's not anything that deserves the high praise that it gets, because she literally just walked and talked and did nothing else.
You good?
Yep.
All right. Damon, you have 2 minutes to rebuttal that.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
So talking about a weak field, my field was Carey Mulligan, Gabourey Sidibe, who's been in like one movie since, and it was Tower Heist. Like, I don't think you can really say that the field was weak until you see that field. Meryl Streep is Meryl Streep. Even if she's like putting on a shitty performance, it's still 1,000 times better than anything Sandra Bullock can muster up in her terrible fucking life. So I was on a roll and then I lost it.
Find it.
Sandra Bullock. Yes. Give me a second.
Choking.
Oh, God. I had something. Right. So, Sandra Bullock basically just plays a shittier version of Connie Britton's Tammy Taylor from the Friday Night Lights TV show. And I think Connie Britton won 1 Emmy in 5 years. And Sandra Bullock, just because she's Sandra Bullock, and because Jesse James decided to cheat on her, like, right before the Oscars, she gets all these, like, nominations because people feel bad for her for having been cheated on. And she didn't deserve it. The movie didn't deserve it. You don't deserve it. I'm
Please.
aware. I just decided not to say anything.
Please, tell me, Taylor, what's going on here?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Come on, I want to hear something.
I know I'm not the official fact checker, but
I'll just say it. I'll say it.
I went and looked at his Oscar nominees that year.
Yeah. She beat Helen Mirren and Meryl Streep that year. Although it was for Julia and Julie, or Julie and Julia. I don't even know.
Julia and Julia?
Yeah, that might have been it. That
I just like
Whatever
how
movie-
you
I
strategically left those two
totally
out
left
of
those
it.
two out for on purpose. Did not want to
You
talk
have
about
6
that one.
seconds left if you can muster anything.
Yeah. Meryl Streep is better than Sandra Bullock.
All right, wow. Difficult round right there to judge. I just really quickly want to go, give me one sentence why your specific actress is worse than the other. Taylor, you first. One simple, to the point sentence. Why is Meryl Streep worse in The Iron Lady than Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side?
She gave no emotion and was completely boring.
Damon, Sandra Bullock over Meryl Streep.
Why she's worse?
Yes.
She doesn't really do anything. She's there and she has an accent. Like, that's the entire reason that she won.
All right. Before I come to a decision, I'm going to go over to the new fact checker for today.
He wasn't even paying attention.
Joey, Janie, Joey, do you have anything to add to that fiery debate?
Caught nothing on my end.
You have nothing to add.
No.
I know, it was a pretty clean round, except for Damon withholding information.
Yeah, I did that a couple times. Actually.
So look, when it came down to it, I think you both really went into detail why the films were disgustingly poor or bland. Throwing out my feelings on, I believe The Iron Lady is less viewed than The Blind Side. So Damon, I felt like that is going against you.
Yeah.
However, Taylor didn't bring that up, so I'm going to actually have to lean towards Taylor in this round. 1-0. I think the biggest thing, because you guys are so neck and neck, him pulling out of nowhere that you were leaving out information.
It wasn't on there. It was Wikipedia. I had it up. I strategically only left.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
because
People
you said two names. I'm like, I wonder
It was-
what the rest
yeah.
of the field is.
It was a bold strategy, Cotton, but he called you out on
I
it.
should have watched
So
that later in the argument.
we switch over now to Taylor leads 1-0. Damon, you're gonna need this one, and
Nah.
good luck, man.
But-
So we're moving on to best horror remake. Evil Dead versus Rob Zombie's Halloween. Damon, you get to take it first. You have 3.5 minutes. Begin.
Okay, so the reason I think that Rob Zombie's Halloween remake is one of the best horror remakes is because it does something that most horror movies don't do, which it gives the villain, the killer, the monster, whatever you want to say, a reason for why they're doing things. Like a real reason. Like the reason Michael Myers is killing a lot of the people at least in the beginning of the movie, is because, he kills the bully that was beating him up at school or teasing him, whatever. He kills his mom's boyfriend because he was like verbally and probably physically abusive. He kills his sister because she was kind of a bitch to him, and she was a big bitch to him. Like, he, in his mind at least, there was these like legitimate reasons for why these people didn't deserve to live, and then that continued when they decided to show. What Rob Zombie did was he showed how he evolved into the monster that became Michael Myers. When he went to the mental institute, and his mom leaves, and the doctor leaves, and everyone who he like grew close to, like, they left, and his mom ended up dying. He didn't see his little sister ever again, and he became reclusive. He started to like fall into like a mental block of like everyone around him, and the only people that would talk to him were like Danny Trejo, who was nice to him, and then the opposite side was that shitty dude who ended up like raping a chick in front of him. And these are reasons for why someone would like go insane, other than the fact that he was in a mental institute, and that just like breeds insanity. So I feel like that in itself helps the movie. There obviously are some weird parts later because it's Rob Zombie. He has to do a bunch of weird shit. But story-wise, I feel like this is stronger than most horror movies. Definitely stronger than The Evil Dead, because that just basically we go into the woods and die.
Hold him back.
And it's sure there was problems. It wasn't like the greatest acting in the world, but it's a horror movie. You don't need that. Like, you don't need Meryl Streep or Sandra Bullock. You just have people. You can just have regular actors, and they have to look scared. It's not a hard thing to do. So I feel like the story and the ending was a lot different from the original. The original was like Michael falls out a window and disappears. This one at least had some like finality to it, where they fall out the window and then she lands on top of him and grabs a gun, and assumingly they don't show it, but they don't show like where she's pointing the gun, but assumingly shoots him in the face, and like that's how the movie ends. And I feel like that was strong. They ruined it by making a second one, but whatever. If that was the end, that was a strong movie in my opinion, and I think it's probably, hands down, one of the best horror remakes, at least in the last like decade or
Nice.
two. I don't know when it came out. Not gonna lie.
Nice job. Hey man, you can't blame Rob Zombie trying to go punch for punch with the Halloween
I know.
franchise.
You can't one up John Carpenter. It's just not gonna happen.
No, it was strong. Taylor, you got 3.5 minutes. Are you ready?
Yep.
Begin.
Alright, so I have the Evil Dead, the 2013 remake, that essentially brought Sam Raimi his original vision to life. When Sam Raimi originally wanted to make the Evil Dead, he just didn't have the budget or the people to actually make the film he wanted to make, so it kind of ended up as a horror comedy sort of deal. That's why Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, the B-star god that he is, actually handpicked more or less Fede Alvarez, the director of the movie, and he worked in his own vision. Fede did well, paying homage and fully respecting what Raimi's original vision was. So he created this whole new Evil Dead franchise, or not franchise as a single movie, but and Halloween, you can consider that a single movie too, because the second one's shit. But he essentially created what Raimi wanted to create and made it an amazing horror remake. He stood up to the actual director, where Rob Zombie can't stand up to Rob Zombie can't stand up to Rob Zombie. No. Zombie can't stand up to Carpenter. Fede Alvarez can stand up to Raimi because he essentially worked with him, and they created, and essentially Fede got to run on his own for the most part with just little bits and pieces from Raimi. Created this whole vision that they loved, that Raimi and Campbell were both like, yes, that's what we would have loved to do back in the day. As far as like casting goes, where Halloween fails on having like a kind of junky, hey, I'm Rob Zombie, I'm gonna shoehorn my wife in again because she's a terrible actress, but I need to put her in there.
Gotta get that money.
Evil Dead actually takes a bunch of lesser known actors like Jane Levy and Shiloh Fernandez and does an amazing job where their acting is actually pretty good in the movie, especially from Jane Levy, from Shiloh Fernandez, the brother and sister combo in there. There actually is a story to this because they're bringing Jane Levy's character up to the cabin to actually try and wean her off of her, I believe it was cocaine addiction that she had, or heroin, one or the other. Yeah, it was one or the other, but they essentially, that's the setup for the story. It's not, hey, we're going to go into the forest and die. It's, no, we're trying to save our friend from herself. So there's an emotional level to it, where Michael Myers doesn't have much of an emotional level. You say he, like, Danny Trejo treated him nice, he still killed Danny Trejo in there for no reason. But
there was a reason.
There's no reason.
Trust those Mexican
Whoa! All right. Beyond that point, it's the fact that the Evil Dead kept the spirit of what the Evil Dead was supposed to be and created this whole new level of it. And the biggest thing, and this is probably because I'm a stickler for it, is they went a lot with practical effects, and they did so much with practical effects, including the ending scene where they just rained down blood that was actually done. They just poured, I think it was like somewhere around 100 gallons of blood down onto the actual set for that entire final scene. They just worked every bit in that they possibly could, and Fede made sure that he paid homage to the original Evil Dead with certain little tidbits here and there, while making it his own and creating just this whole new thing that was amazingly well done. So, and beyond that, it probably has one of the best cameos ever after the credits, where Bruce Campbell does make an appearance and you just see the chin and you just hear Groovy with it. So amazing.
Good stuff. Oh, I actually lost track. You went 15 seconds over.
Son of a...
We gotta dock him for that. I'm just kidding. Moving to Damon. Dude, you're gonna need... I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna mince words with you, Mitchell. You're losing right now.
That's fine.
You need a big rebuttal, and it starts right now.
Okay. When I say that it doesn't have a real story, I mean that the villain, the Evil Dead, it's just there. Like, there's no reason for it. It's just a thing that happens to these people. Like, there's no like real story behind it. It's just they go into the woods to cure her addiction, and then they all die for literally no reason. Well, they read a book. Like, wow, that's so creative. Where like this is actual, like in the Halloween remake and in the regular Halloween, there's actual like reason behind what the person is doing, and it's an actual person killing people, not some mystical bullshit force of demons or something that no one really can understand except for Sam Raimi's twisted ass mind. And there is no emotion. Don't even try to lie to yourself. Like, oh my god, they try to cure her addiction and then they all die trying to cure her addiction. Like, is that really worth it? I don't think so. Plus, they could have put her ass in a rehab. They didn't need to take her into the freaking woods. So, don't give me any of that bullshit. Rob Zombie didn't have John Carpenter. John Carpenter left that franchise a long time ago. And he still did pretty well on his own. Literally on his own. Not having to talk to, like, hey, Sam, can you give me some help here? Okay, thanks. Like, he didn't have that. And he still put up a pretty goddamn solid movie with, sure, terrible acting, but again, this is Rob Zombie. He just kind of was like, hey, these are my friends. Here's your role. Have at it. And that's fine. You know, he had a budget. He went under it, I'm sure, because all he did was just hire people that he knew who would probably work for less. He didn't have to go out searching for actors who have done dick since. So, you know, actually Jane Levy has done stuff. I'll take that back. But it's just, it's a better story. It's a better movie. The Evil Dead suck in general. I mean, if we were going to go with a remake of Evil Dead, you should have gone with Evil Dead 2. Even though that was technically not a remake, it was a remake.
You're finished.
Okay, good.
Strong rebuttal there. All right, Taylor,
Do you remember,
bring it.
just caveat, remember we went and saw Halloween 2 for my birthday. That
Oh,
year.
the epic On with the movie.
Yeah.
Forever in the lore of the real frame of mind's mind.
Great times.
Oh, yes. That
Terrible
and
movie. Terrible.
poor Ray had to take a leak every 10 seconds.
Every 10 seconds.
So, but yeah, without that film, was that the first one? Or did we
no,
see
that
the
was
second one?
That was the second one.
Without that second film, we would have never gotten the On with the movie.
Yeah.
All right. If you're wondering what that means, comment on this video and we'll tell you. All right. 2 minutes. Taylor, he just upped the ante a little bit. He's going all in. You gotta whip out that royal flush. Here we go.
Okay, as far as it goes, rehab does not work for everybody. You can ask tons of people. Ask Amy Winehouse because she's dead. Rehab didn't work for her.
R.I.P.
She said she wasn't going to go to rehab. It was in a song.
She's still dead. As far as this movie goes, as far as people enjoying it, this is actually a more enjoyed movie than what Rob Zombie's Halloween is. If you look at IMDb, where it's a 6.5 versus a 6.1, look at Metacritic, it's a 57 versus a 47, or you look at Rotten Tomatoes, where it's a 61% fresh versus a 25% rotten for Halloween.
Yeah, I know.
So, and even money-wise, 97.5 million worldwide for the Evil Dead remake versus 80.1 million for the Halloween remake. So as far as everything goes in all of those categories, Evil Dead actually beats out along every line for that. So, but beyond that, it's a greater movie overall because of the practical effects they brought in, because of the homage, because of even that simple cameo that they bring in. Yes, Raimi was there kind of throwing his vision of what he originally wanted and being like, hey, Fede, this is what I originally wanted. Take it, run with it. I want to see what you can do. Where Zombie still had source material of, 5-6 movies before that he could look into and be like, which he obviously did because he is a horror movie, fanatic. So he was obviously watching that because he's a fan of it. And he still screwed up the movie by bringing in terrible actors to do it because they're his friends. He's essentially the Adam Sandler of the horror world.
Oh.
So as far as it goes, it's just that we keep the spirit with Evil Dead. It's a greater movie overall because, remaking it, you get these moments in there, like the chainsaw moment, where you finally get the chainsaw hand in the remake of Evil Dead. It's a great moment in there, and it's a brutally violent moment as well. But it's all, and you're saying, demons and all of that, it's all just kind of junk and that, but overall, still, demons don't need explanation like a crappy sort of supernatural killer.
Wow.
You shouldn't have watched Evil Dead, the TV show, because they gave an explanation, bitch.
Oh, well, too bad that's off
but
the
it was
clock.
Showtime, and I don't have that.
That's true.
I watched it. It was good. It was good.
J. Deems, you got anything to add, my friend?
Nothing really to clean up. I do have this to add, though. The Halloween remake had 1 win and 2 nominations as far as awards go, and Evil Dead had 6 wins and 16 nominations.
And
thought I'd
and
throw
Raimi
that
was
out.
a producer on the new or the remake of Evil Dead, correct?
He was one of 8.
Okay, all right. That doesn't sway my decision either way. I thought Taylor crushed you in the opening statements. You had a great rebuttal, Damon, but as for it, Taylor crushed you, man. This could be. We're looking at history now,
Elusive
folks.
3-0.
It could be an elusive 3-0.
Yep.
Damon, just so everyone
I
knows,
never made it through the entire Evil Dead remake.
Damon
I got
called out Taylor on this show.
Oh.
He wanted him head to head.
Ooh.
Taylor brought it. Damon, let's see if
Ill-prepared.
Inside Out can take down Toy Story 2 and
Ill-prepared.
bring it this one last round. That's all you need. We're going back
You need to bring
to
the
Taylor.
beer. Stop the elusive 3-0.
Why are you talking?
It's a great question. Everyone admire my new poster. Round 3. This is it. This could be our first ever 3-0. The elusive 3-0. And if this goes 3-0, I'm buying a belt tonight. And Taylor's taking it home with him until someone else gets a 3-0 because this has never happened.
No, he lost to Trace. Trace should technically have that belt.
Look, I still won a round against you.
That is true. So, most
I didn't
overrated
pick the
Pixar
easiest
film.
ones.
Taylor, you got the floor. You got 3.5 minutes. Toy Story 2, go.
All right, Toy Story 2, to me, one of the most overrated films that Pixar has ever tossed out, and especially in such a good series that they've done. Toy Story 2 is just completely misses the mark as far as standing up to either 3 or the original. It doesn't stand up to either one as far as emotion that's involved, as far as like what they did with the film, how groundbreaking it was. It's immediately lackluster and unnecessary. People talk about loving it because they look at the first two essentially. The first and the third one. And that's why they go with like, oh yeah, Toy Story 2 is great. If you really look into it, Toy Story 2 is not great at all. The story is really just kind of a mess. All of a sudden, Woody has family in a show and all this. After that, all of a sudden Buzz has like this whole family thing and all that. Essentially, it's just a cop out to try and make more money and get a whole new Buzz Lightyear TV show that they ran through. That nobody cared about either. But it's just like it's such a kind of junk story is my biggest problem with it. Like Stinky Pete as the surprise villain at the end was just kind of like a blah. It's like I didn't really care about it. I didn't feel any care to it. It didn't handle the emotion like the first one or the third one did. It just didn't connect as well, and you lost characters in there too. You lost essentially lost more or less the entire room and the fun that you had with all of the characters in that room and all that was, including you just randomly nowhere to be found lose Woody's love interest, Bo Peep, just gone off the radar essentially. She just vanished. The like love interest gone. It's all of a sudden, hey, Jesse's here. Like Woody's sister, so we're gonna run the Buzz and Jesse love story instead of doing the Bo Peep and Woody love story at all. And then you have the whole like, I forget what the chicken farm toy store thing that just like the annoying voice actor actually did and all that. It was just kind of a blah thing overall. Everything just felt blah. And Damon, you and I were talking about this the other day actually. And you talk about not really remembering Toy Story 2 because it's not a memorable movie. So you've even stated how it's not memorable. But this is still a movie, and why I say it's overrated is because it still made a ton of money just because of the name, more or less. It's still rated a 7.9 on IMDb, which is really way overrated for what it should be. Because it's just riding on the coattails of the first one. Like I said, they didn't advance anything in this one. Like, Toy Story 2 was Toy Story was revolutionary. It's so hard to get everything right when you're trying to talk in 3 minutes. But, like, Toy Story was revolutionary. Toy Story 2 was like, hey, we need to make some money again. So just throw the characters in, people will go see it. We don't really have to put in a story. We don't really have to put in anything for it. Just throw Woody on the screen, throw Buzz in there for a couple minutes. You're good to go. That's all you need to do.
Excellent job, Taylor. Couldn't agree with you more. However, that does make no difference because I can't judge it on that way. Damon is about to blow everybody's mind. Inside Out, my man.
Yep.
You have the stage. 3.5. Go.
All right, so Inside Out came out last year in 2015. Won Best Animated Movie at the Oscars. I saw the movie about a week or two after it came out, after everyone that I know told me, oh, you should go see it. You know, it's about, this kid going through depression and all this stuff, which, everyone that I know knows that I suffer from depression. So I was like, all right, I'll go see this movie. And I was fully hoping it would be good. I walked out super disappointed. I underwhelmed, just not feeling it. I thought the voice actors weren't very good. Amy Poehler got annoying after about 20 minutes. Phyllis Smith wasn't... I mean, she played Phyllis Smith. Like, that wasn't a hard thing for her to do. I think the main thing about this is that it's not a story about depression that everyone says it is. It's a story about a little girl moving to a new town and being sad. Like, sadness and depression are two different things. and people don't understand that and hype this movie up beyond belief because, oh, it's so revolutionary. They talked about depression in a freaking animated movie, and they didn't. I just think they misused a lot of what they should have done. They had 5 characters based on emotions. Why the hell was disgust there? Like, that's a shitty emotion to have. They focus too much on joy, which I know why. It's a kid's movie, they have to. But it's still, that's just an emotion, and that doesn't need to be focused on that much. It's joy. It speaks for itself. Anger and fear, especially when they move to a different city and she doesn't have her friends anymore. Like, I've moved 2 or 3 times in my life and have had to go to different schools and start over, basically. And I think anger and fear are just as prevalent as sadness, and yet Inside Out focused solely on joy and sadness. And I feel like the movie would have been better, at least to me, if the main character had been the girl instead of the emotions. Like, the best scenes in that movie were... The best scene in the movie was when they were at dinner and they showed the emotions inside the parents' head. Like, just like quick snapshots and like what they were thinking, basically. You know, the dad's got like, you know, dad people in his head. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I just think this movie was blown up to super high proportions. Scott's talked about how he's loved it. Taylor probably loves it because he's weird. And I just felt like it was misused. It could have really strongly hit harder for people with depression, and it just kind of it didn't do it. It pulled punches. It just I don't think it is as good as people drive it up to be. I think Toy Story 2 is better.
Okay. All right. Rebuds. 2 minutes, Taylor. You got it. Go.
All right, and first off, I would just want to fact check myself on this one.
Thank you.
If we're looking it up, Bo Peep was in the second one.
Thank you.
The problem is Toy Story 2 is just so not memorable that I forgot she was even there. Like, that's how not memorable this movie is because I forget basic facts about it because I'm like, well, the third one didn't have Bo Peep, the second one must not have. Because what the hell happened in the second one? You talk about not having a story. What was the story? What was the purpose of Toy Story 2? There was no purpose. There wasn't people dealing with, like, this new person coming in. There wasn't people dealing with, like, losing their family. It was, yeah, Woody's getting stolen. Stuff's happening. Whatever. No, nothing major with it, essentially. It was all just kind of a thrown together story that's like, whatever, these characters here. Like I said, it's just a money thing. So Inside Out has had a ton better story than what Toy Story 2 has. Like, Inside Out, you can always follow the story. And if you have more of it on the outside of the people, it's weird because then the movie shouldn't be called Inside Out because you're supposed to be inside the head. So that wouldn't make sense if it was more focused on the actual people.
Keep the name the same.
But beyond that, even with that, you talk about not having a good voice cast. You have Bill Hader doing an amazing job with fear. You have Lewis Black, who's great when he's doing angry because that's all he's essentially good at, but he did a great job as anger. You have, as far as it goes, like, the 2 memorable people are in Tom Hanks, that's the name, and Tim Allen. Those are the 2 memorable people from Toy Story 2. I had to look it up because I forgot who the hell played Stinky Pete. That was actually Kelsey Grammer. Again, forgettable in a role that didn't really match him. It didn't fit him well. And turning Stinky Pete into the villain didn't make any sense either. It was just kind of a blah thing that's like, oh, we needed a villain for this. Turn him into it. Hey, guess what? We're going to rip off of Star Wars. Guess what? Buzz Zerg's your father. Fun. Rip off of whatever else they want to do. And just, they're essentially ripping off their own stuff, ripping off of other people's stuff to throw together a movie of just pieces that doesn't make sense whatsoever. That's why it's way overrated as far as that goes. And people love Inside Out more than Toy Story 2.
Done.
I was finishing.
Oh, man.
Look, you want to talk about that? Your last
Damon
sentence
is
on your last
spewing
one,
blood.
Like, yeah.
All right. taking a sip of beer. He set it down on the coaster. He's ready to go. 2 minutes.
Narrating my life.
Here we go. You're on.
Oh, okay. So Bill Hader and Lewis Black did mediocre jobs because they were barely in the movie. Half the movie, like 90% of the movie, was Amy Poehler's annoying voice versus Phyllis Smith's annoying voice, and just like mashing those together inside my head, making me want to kill myself more than I usually do. And Toy Story 2 had like an actual like. So Toy Story came out in 1995. Toy Story 2 comes out 4 years later. So what were we, like 6 years old? Give or take, you and me, really.
Right.
We're like 6 years old when the first one came out, 10 going into like the teenage years when the second one comes out. That movie was made for us. That movie was made to teach us about peer pressure, because that's what happens to Woody, is he meets these new people. I'm tying this together, shut up. He meets these new people, and Jesse and whatever Kelsey Grammer's name was, I already forgot what you were saying. No, that's Bo Peep. I don't even. Okay. Anyway, he meets these new people who are supposed to be his like real friends, who are supposed to be like the people he's supposed to be with, because they're all from the same show or whatever, and they try to pressure him into coming with them, and he wants to stay with his friends, and it's teaching kids. It was actually teaching kids about peer pressure, whereas Inside Out is falsely teaching people about depression when it doesn't fucking know anything about depression. Like, it doesn't... It's just like, oh, sadness sucks. Don't talk to it. Talk to joy. Never mind. You need sadness. Like, what? Stop it. You're fucking everything up. Just... Good God. I think it's a movie that was overblown because it was revolutionary when it wasn't. You know? It doesn't accurately portray shit, except for how annoying Amy Poehler is outside of Parks and Rec. Mike, drop.
Ooh, wow. Damn, I have some strong opinions on both, but I will not say that. I gotta go to the dude that checks the facts, Jay Neems.
I'm really mad that you brought up the Bo Peep thing, because I was going to use it against you. Like, I had that in the chamber, like, oh...
He had it in the chamber over here. Alright, Jay Neems, what you got?
Well, I'd just like to say that there some other notable roles to Toy Story 2 would include Joan Cusack and Wayne Knight, who in the toy factory.
I got this. Joan, what was the person?
Cusack.
Joan Cusack was Jesse, and Wayne Knight was the fat dude who steals Woody.
Al.
Yes, Al.
Yep.
And the toy store that
Wayne
Taylor
Knight
was
known
referring
for?
to is called Al's Toy
Seinfeld.
Barn.
Al's Toy Barn.
And
Dresses up in the chicken
well, I don't know. I
suit.
really don't have anything for Damon except to say that I don't think they were portraying it as a movie about depression.
Thank you! Okay, I gotta see this again. Wow, I mean, great round. Intense. I think that is the word. But my decision had to come down to the actual topic at hand, which was most overrated Pixar film. And I feel like Taylor gave strong reasoning to why Toy Story 2 isn't good, whereas Damon brought stuff with Inside Out, why it's overrated. People talk it up so high. It won Oscars and all of this stuff. Unfortunately, there's no 3-0 here tonight. Taylor takes Film Eat Film, episode 4, but Damon does sneak in a win. 2-1, Taylor. Woo! Great job.
All right.
I want to recount.
A recount, you can go back over it.
A recount of the points that weren't written down.
I'm sorry, I was just coasting over my first two wins, so I didn't get the
Well,
Oh,
dude,
yeah, totally.
that first one I almost sent you guys to a tiebreaker for trivia question,
kind of disappointed. I want to see
which
the
I didn't. But
tiebreaker
you know, I'm glad he brought it at the end there. He had a draining day. No belt today. No 3-0. But look,
We can still buy a belt. We can just hold
Yeah.
it over people's heads.
that's true.
Motherfucker.
We will crown a Film champion by the end of this summer, which is great. But until then, check out our Not Another Top 10 Show movie podcast, where we break down different topics each week, discussing a top 10. Like last week, we did a huge one, most overrated films. A lot of shocking titles on that list. Like us, subscribe especially because we're up 31,
31,
which is huge.
That's one more than we were a couple of days ago.
That's right. So anybody you know, talk to them, tell them to subscribe to us, like our shit, comment on it, please. Every single time you guys view this, it helps us. It's awesome. We're looking to expand. If you want to be on the show, let us know. I doubt you will, but let us know. Damon, you gotta start tweeting some shit. Follow us at real frame of mind, right?
Yeah, I believe it's at real frame.
At real frame of mind. Let us know what you want to hear. We're always looking for new ideas. So, thank you, and remember, I have nothing to say.